Hello, this is a 5-part series about compositions. In part 1, we'll talk about some tips on how to write good compositions, and then in the remaining 4 parts, I'll give you examples of compositions, or you can call them templates, 4 of them. Without further ado, let's get into the tips. Essays or compositions need the following tips. First and foremost, you need to first understand the topic well. Before you start writing, think about the topic carefully. Ask yourself, what is this composition about? For example, my birthday. Think of the morning, the cake, the friends, the gifts, all that before you put pen to paper. So this helps you to stay on the right track. Otherwise, if you just start writing without understanding the topic well, you're going to mess up big time and only remember maybe to write about the right things when you have already consumed the whole answer sheets. Number 2, plan your ideas first. Do not rush to write. First, list your ideas. You can call them highlights. Divide your composition into the beginning, or you can call it introduction, the middle part or the main body where you put in the main ideas, and then the ending or the conclusion where you sum up everything else as you end your composition. Number 3, start with an interesting introduction. Make your first paragraph exciting. Use similes or some form of description. My birthday, for instance, was like a shining star. My birthday is like a shining star in my life. So when you start like that, people reading your piece will be interested into getting to know more about this shining star. Why is it a shining star? Number 4, write in paragraphs. Do not write everything in one block or in prose. No. Put it in paragraphs, neat. Divide each paragraph so that an idea goes into a paragraph. For example, if it is a birthday, how you woke up that morning can take up the first paragraph. Then how you welcomed the visitors, how you prepared, etc, etc, and how you celebrated, coming in different paragraphs. That way, it will be easy for the reader to understand the chronology or the order of ideas. Otherwise, if you just jumble things up, people might lose interest pretty fast. Next, and that's number 5, use figurative language. Figurative language, there are lots of them, but for upper primary, you remember you can use similes, idioms, and maybe proverbs. But of course, for higher grades, you have lots of other figurative language material to use. Here I have a sample of a few figurative language on different categories. You can add yours. The first one I have is a simile. Similes are these comparisons where you use like or as. She is as brave as a lion. You can also use a metaphor which compares without use of like or as. Time is a thief. So you are comparing directly time and thief directly without saying time is like a thief. Then number 3, I have personification. This is giving human qualities to non-human things. For example, when you say the wind whispered softly, we know wind has no life. It is not a living thing. So when it now whispers something that we do, only we do, then you would call it personification. Another one is hyperbole or exaggeration. Example, I have told you 1,000,000 times. So 1,000,000 times, actually I've not told you 1,000,000 times, but to equate that I have told you so many times, I just say I have told you 1,000,000 times. That is called hyperbole. Another one is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. This is when you put the sound the sound of the object. We call them onomatopoeia. For example, when you say the bees buzzed loudly, the sound that the bees make is buzzing. Now when you hear of buzz and then you have bees bzz, bzz, they sound almost similar. So bees buzzed is onomatopoeia. Another one is alliteration. That is starting with the same sound, normally consonant sounds. For example, Peter picked purple pencils. So p at the beginning of those particular words that are close to each other or adjacent. We also have assonance. Assonance is now the repetition of vowel sounds. Just like in alliteration, assonance is now vowel, whereas alliteration is consonant sounds. So here, example, we have the rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain. Rain, Spain, mainly plain. So that is assonance. Another one is consonance. That is repetition of consonant sounds. In this particular case, it doesn't need to be at the beginning of the word. It can be at the end, the middle, anywhere in that particular word. Example, the cat sat on the mat. So, cat, sat, mat. At the end of those words, we have a consonant sound T. Then we have idioms. Idioms like, it's raining cats and dogs. That is a phrase that actually means something different from the exact words that are there. So when we say it's raining cats and dogs, we are not saying that cats and dogs are falling like rain. No, we are just trying to say, in other words, that it is raining heavily. So heavy that you might think cats and dogs are falling down. Another one is irony. Irony is now the opposite of what is expected. Opposite of what is expected. Example, a fire station burns down. Now, we know that fire stations is what you call when your house is on fire. But now it's the fire station on fire. So how do you help that out? When the person who needs to help you is now the one that now needs help. It's now ironical. So that's irony. We also have oxymoron. Oxymoron is now putting two opposite words together. For example, a deafening silence. A deafening silence. Now you can imagine silence, and then how does that deafen you? How does that make you not able to hear? Deafening silence. Another one is pun. That is a joke using words with double meaning. Meaning that you take a word that has two different meanings and then you use it in a manner as to imply a joke. Now, the reader is supposed to try to argue, what do you actually mean when you use this word? Do you mean this one or this other meaning? Example, I used to be a baker, but I couldn't make enough dough. I used to be a baker, but I couldn't make enough dough. Now, dough here means two things. One is flour mixed with water that you actually bake if you want to make pastries like cakes, etc. Again, dough is money you make when you bake and sell. So when I was baking, I could not make enough money, dough. When I was baking, I could not make enough dough for baking. So you're playing with that word dough. That is called pun. Another figurative language is symbolism. Symbolism is using something to represent something else. For example, when you talk about a dove, normally we associate dove with peace and tranquility. Yes, a dove. Imagery is another figurative language. That is descriptive language that appeals to the senses. For example, the sweet smell of flowers filled the air. Now when you say that, as a reader, you try to breathe in that air as though it's there. Oh, the sweet smell of flowers filled the air. But there are no flowers really. We are just using imagery. So it appeals to your senses and you might actually feel like you are there. Another one, and this is the 15th figurative piece, anaphora. Anaphora with PH for that for sound. Anaphora. Anaphora is repetition at the beginning. For example, I will try, I will win, I will succeed. So I will has been repeated at the beginning of those three sentences, maybe for a stress. When you look at Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, you'll get a lot of anaphora in that particular speech. Yeah. Another figurative language is repetition. Unlike anaphora, which is the repetition of the beginning, we have repetition now, where you repeat that particular word in the same sentence. For example, run, run, run as fast as you can. Or you can tell someone, go, go, go away, please. Repetition. 17. Allusion. Allusion. The Jon part is S-I-O-N. Allusion. That is reference to something that is well known. For example, you can say that he is as strong as Samson. Now, Samson is a well-known figure in the Bible. You know, that guy that had hair and could push on pillars and the whole building comes crumbling down. That is called allusion, when you refer to something that people know. Another one is euphemism. Euphemism. F-P-H. Euphemism. Euphemism, and the Z, of course, is S and Z or Z. That is soft or polite way of saying something. For example, you say he passed away instead of he died. Yeah? You can say he is expectant instead of he is pregnant. You can say he is not well behaved instead of he is badly behaved. So that is called euphemism. Another one is understatement. We talked about exaggeration. Now we also have understatement, and that is making something seem smaller or less important. For example, you can say, it's just a scratch when you are referring to a big injury. Look at this instance where you have fallen and bruised yourself and you're like, no, it's just a scratch. But you know it's not a scratch, it's something bigger than that. You're just downplaying it so that people don't really pay attention to it, or so that maybe you don't take away people's attention from something that they are focusing on. Another one is metonymy. 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 Nymy is N-Y-M-Y. Using something related to represent something else. Example, you can say, the crown made a decision. Now when you say the crown, or you say respect the crown, a policeman can say respect the crown. That is, respect that crown on that cup they have there. Respect that power, respect that authority. So the crown made a decision could actually mean that the king or the queen or the leader made a decision. So that's metonymy. Those are 20 pieces of figurative language, different ones. But I said that for younger learners, especially upper primary, you can just use proverbs, similes, and idioms. Leave the others, the metonymies, the euphemisms, for junior secondary and senior secondary levels. Anyway, don't forget to write a few figurative language items in your composition. It will make it more tasty, just like putting onions, chilies, curry, and so on and so forth. Make your food more tasty. Next, in our making our compositions more interesting, or the tips, we now have number 6, and that is use simple and clear English. Avoid very big and difficult words whose meaning you do not know. Instead, use simple words that you can easily define and whose meaning you know, and you even know how to construct sentences using them. Number 7, use linking words. Join your ideas using words like first or firstly, secondly or second, and so on and so forth. Or you can use then, after that, later, finally, also, because, therefore, nevertheless, no sooner had than, and so on and so forth. Most of these are conjunctions. When you use them, say, at the beginning of your sentence or paragraph, and you don't repeat them a lot, it actually creates a good taste on your composition. But if you repeat one again and again and again, like also, then it becomes a bit boring. Okay, number 8, give enough details. To reach 1.5 page, you need to describe thoroughly or clearly. Talk about what you saw, how you felt, what happened. Yeah, if at all you attended a wedding ceremony or a birthday party of a friend, etc. That way you'll get a lot of details that will help consume that space, and will also tell your teacher or examiner that you know a lot about whatever you are writing. Example, don't say, I was happy. Instead say, I was very happy and I smiled the whole day. So you see, that's a bit longer. It helps consume space, number 1. Number 2, it tells the person who is reading that, oh, he was not just happy. The happiness was spread across the day. Tip number 9, stay on the topic. Do not write things that are not related. If the topic is my school, don't start writing about my holiday. Let us keep it my school. Stay focused, just the same way a driver stays focused on the road. Number 10, end with a strong conclusion. Your last paragraph should summarize your ideas and should show your feelings. Example, you can say, I love my school and I am proud to be part of it. Number 11, check your work. Check your work, or what we will call proofread your work. After writing, it is important to correct the spelling mistakes, to check punctuation like comma, full stop, etc. And also just so that you get to see, maybe I used this word or this statement, but I can use a better word or statement here So you erase that and write the better piece. So do not forget to read your work. Those are 11 key points that can help you to write better compositions. We have said 1, I'll start from the bottom, check your work or proofread your work. 2, from the bottom, end with a strong conclusion. Number 3 or number 9, stay on the topic. Give enough details, that's number 8. Use linking words like first, also, then, etc. Use simple English and clear English, one that you understand and that the examiner understands also well without causing confusion. Next, use figurative language like similes, metaphors, personification, hyperbole, etc. At number 4, write in paragraphs. Number 3, start with an interesting introduction. And number 2, we have plan your ideas first. Of course, the first one was understand the topic well before you start writing. Above all, practice. Write today, write tomorrow, write the day after tomorrow. Get to correct your mistakes every day, and that way you'll become a better composition or essay